All right, let's just start with tonight. The Chiefs last year won a Super Bowl with basically nobody playing wide receiver. I'm obviously kidding there because they had some talent there, and of course Marquez Valdez-Scantling decided to make the only two big plays of the entire season when it mattered the most. But that Rashee Rice was good. Of course, he's had some issues during the offseason. Can the Chiefs be better this year than they were last year?
Oh, yeah. And as I just wrote on CBSSports.com for my weekly picks column, I think there's a chance. And I'm not saying that, I wouldn't want to bet against the Chiefs to win the Super Bowl because this is a team that's won it twice in a row, 3 out of 4 years. Patrick Mahomes is probably tracking towards becoming the greatest quarterback of all time. He's got a ways to go to catch Tom Brady, but he's got a pretty good start on it when you consider where Brady was early on in his career. And what I think is fascinating about this particular season is we are all sort of assuming that the Chiefs are going to play possum, that they're going to come out and, all right, let's limit Travis Kelce snaps. Let's run the ball a ton with Isaiah Pacheco. Let's play defense. Let's just get to the playoffs and win a couple of games and three-peat and shake it off, etc. Insert your personal Taylor Swift pun here.
Right.
But I also think there's a decent chance that when you consider the contextual history of the NFL, that the Chiefs look at this season not just as an opportunity to three-peat, but as an opportunity to obliterate how we view Kansas City in a giant vacuum, and that they may just decide to burn it all to the ground 2007 Patriots style. That they could come out with Rashee Rice, who he's not going to be suspended at this point.
No.
The NFL rarely suspends people mid-season. They let the legal process play out. That's got a ways to go anyway. Travis Kelce's back. He's tracking on a Hall of Fame career. Patrick Mahomes has won 2 MVPs and has thrown for 5,000 passing yards twice in his career, and had the worst season of his career as a starter, really. I mean, I guess you say 2019 last season. The Chiefs offense wasn't very good. I think they want to come out and flex. I think there's a chance they want to come out and flex. And the way that they do this, 2007 Patriots style, is by reimagining what they have on offense. They already have Kelce underneath who eats up just a force underneath. Rashee Rice does the same sort of thing. Screens, just the way he runs these short routes. He's a great route runner. I mean, he's going to get open. Well, they add Xavier Worthy in the offseason, and Hollywood Brown, both guys and Hollywood Brown can be a short yardage type of get the ball in his hands in space guy. But Xavier Worthy is one of the fastest dudes in the history of football. I mean, he ran the fastest 40 ever at the combine. Right. So when these teams try to play these cover 2 shells where they put 2 high safeties over top and force Patrick Mahomes to play it safe and beat them underneath. Well, good luck doing that when you have Xavier Worthy burning up the middle. It's going to change the way defenses possibly defend them. And when you have a play caller like Andy Reid, I think that's a possibility that 10 games in the season. I mean, you remember this. You were doing sports talk radio in 2000 in the 2007.
Yes.
When the Patriots said every week was a new referendum on sportsmanship.
Right.
I remember. I mean, I probably shouldn't have been in college in 2007, but here we are. I remember specifically PTI would have these segments where it was are the Patriots bad for the sport of football?
Right.
Are they flaunting sportsmanship? Well, who's to say the Chiefs aren't going to go out and do the exact same thing with, by the way, a pretty decent defense as well?
Yeah, I mean, it probably won't be as good, right? They took on some personnel loss. Probably won't be as good as last year, but it should be good, and their offense probably will be at least as good, maybe better, because if it does have more of a downfield threat, it should open up more. I mean, you could just send Xavier Worthy on go routes all day. Just let him runs. You're going to have
and he's more than that, by the way. He's a good route runner and a good football player. Yeah, I'm just making sure that it's not we're not treating him like he's a 9-route guy.
Right. I'm trying to think of Ted
Marcus
Ginn.
Valdes-Scantling?
Ted Ginn. Boom. Just go, Ted. Yeah. That's what you do well. Keep doing that. Hey, Panthers
Run
fans.
straight fast.
Yeah. Panthers fans just went, I remember that. Those were the good old days. Those were the salad days of the most recent salad days.
He was the number 1 receiver on that 2015 Super Bowl team.
He and Jericho Cottree. By the way, wasn't that a catch? Didn't he catch the ball?
Probably. I mean, there was actually an interesting take. It was Ricky Prohl, I think, was on somebody's podcast. I don't remember whose podcast it was. He was like, "We just screwed up coaching wise. We should just run the ball and play defense."
I heard that. Yes, I did hear that. But I thought if the ball doesn't touch the ground, it's a cat. Never mind. Water over the bridge. The Ravens. What's interesting to me about this game, and because I've loved Baltimore every year that Lamar Jackson has been there, is that they haven't had postseason success. They've won just 2 playoff games with Lamar in the Lamar Jackson era. One of those years, Jackson didn't play in the playoffs, right? He was hurt at the end of the year, and he didn't play in the playoffs, and they lost that game. But they've only won, this is 6 years 6 years of playoff football with 2 wins. I actually think that it's more on John Harbaugh than it is on Lamar Jackson. They have gone pretty vanilla and conservative, almost like trying not to lose when they get to the postseason. What's the next step for them? What has to change for them?
Well, I mean, I think you can kind of look. I don't think that the Ravens are going to go, 2007 Patriots as well. But I don't know, man. You look at the additions they made this offseason. Now, the offensive line, if you believe that Baltimore can draft and develop, they're in a very good spot because they're all homegrown guys, even though there are definitely question marks there. They added Derek freaking Henry. And the age curve or whatever bell curve you want to associate with age in the NFL, particularly with running backs, I don't know that it applies to Derek Henry, especially when you take him out of a situation where he's playing from behind with a bad offensive line most of the time, and you put him in a spot where he's going to be playing with a lead and a decent offensive line most of the time. This is a really good fit for him. Todd Monken offense, second year for Lamar Jackson. By the way, Lamar, 2 for 2 on MVPs in his first year with new offensive coordinators, and hadn't really had a guy who develops him as a passer the way that Todd Monken did last year. I think anybody putting a cap on the Ravens is foolish.
Yeah.
What we're seeing tonight could easily be a rematch that we see in the AFC Championship game again. Yeah. I would also note that, like, Lamar's first playoff loss, he lost to Phillip Rivers, and he came in it was like he was subbing in for Joe Flacco, and he started that game, but it was like his rookie year. It wasn't really his full team.
Right.
They lose to Tennessee the next year. They had to throw 60 times because they got behind. That was sort of the offense. Mm-hmm. And then you lose to the Bills. The Bills were very good. He didn't play against the Bengals in that loss. And then you lose to the Chiefs last year.
I'm not blaming him. Like I said, I don't think it's him.
No. You and I have had this conversation when, remember, he was not in the top 10 of NFL quarterbacks, and we talked about it. I think the ceiling for the Ravens is the number 1 seed. And you need to go win some playoff games. Man, I don't know. If you're not the Patriots during their dynasty and not the Chiefs during their budding dynasty, it's kind of tough out there in the streets, in the AFC streets. You've been around for 25 years, and it's just kind of tough to win playoff games because you're eventually going to run into one of those. Like you're running into Tom Brady or Patrick Mahomes at some point in the playoffs, almost guaranteed. If you go far enough, every year for the last 25 years, it makes it tough. So I think, they're a Super Bowl or bust team. Anything less, and they feel disappointed. But I think if they go get the number 1 seed and lose in the AFC Championship game again, you can't objectively look at the team and say, well, this didn't working with Lamar, let's blow it up. It's just going to be, somewhat disappointing.
Yeah, look, Lamar ain't going. He is not going anywhere. Will Brinson, senior NFL writer, CBSSports.com, joining us here on the Adam Gold Show. All right, let's. We have just a couple of minutes left. And by the way, the Bills, who I think are an absolute Super Bowl contender. I picked him to win this. I picked him to win the Super Bowl. They don't have great weapons at wide receiver, so that is it's a work in progress at best. I think we have to be. They hope.
I think Dalton Kincaid could be, if anybody's still doing fantasy drafts, I think he could be the fantasy tight end, fantasy 1. Khalil Shakir is going to surprise a lot of people. Curtis Samuel with Joe Brady. Last time they hooked up was 2020 in Carolina. That was the best season of his career. They used him as a gadget guy out of the backfield and move him all over the place. And then Keon Coleman, very divisive prospect, but they really like him in Buffalo and think he can come on strong. So, hey, and don't forget about Carolina legend Mac Hollins.
It's still honestly, I don't hate Mac Hollins there, but Look, I still think it's a little bit of a work in progress. But I love Buffalo. They are not the choice to win that division, which is amazing. I'm even more amazed that if it's not Buffalo, that the choice isn't Miami. But that's fine. It happens to be the Jets. I don't really want to talk about them unless they are the answer to one of these two questions. So give me a team that made the playoffs last year that you think will not this year.
The easy answer for me there is the Cleveland Browns because they played 5 quarterbacks. They got lucky in a lot of one-score games. They didn't profile as an 11-win team by their point differential. All these things point to regression. Jim Schwartz's defenses traditionally have sort of taken a step back in that second year. And then you have the Ravens being really good again. The Steelers are probably better at quarterback, I think. There'll be a challenge. And then, of course, you've got, maybe not. Who the hell knows with Russ and Justin Fields. But, if Joe Burrow is healthy for the season, then it just makes life a lot tougher in that division. I think the Chargers are a better team. I think the Jets are a better team. I think it's a tough pathway for the Browns to make it to the playoffs this year.
Is there a legitimate Super Bowl team playing tomorrow night?
Oh yeah, 2 of them.
Yeah, I'm not bullish.
Hey, by the way, the Steelers would be an
easy
easy pick too. The Eagles are not a Super Bowl team.
I'm just not bullish on them. I think they're going to miss the playoffs.
I had them going 9-8, and I mean, I my Minchies are just jammed with Eagles fans calling me a loser and a clown and a Cowboys homer, and I mean, I'm two of those 3 things. 2 truths and a lie.
I think Green Bay is a legit Super Bowl contender.
Look, Jordan Love, I think it was week 8 last year, maybe a little bit later. It was maybe like November 1st. There was a question, like the question was asked of Brian Gutekunst, the GM, is Jordan Love your franchise quarterback? And he's like, well, we don't know that right now. He needs to prove it in the second half of the season. It's a big, end of the season for a lot of people, including Jordan. And then Jordan Love went out and the way he played down the stretch,
crushed it.
If you extrapolate it over 17 games, he's the unanimous MVP because he would have thrown 38 touchdowns and 2 interceptions and like 4,000 passing yards. So he's a streaky guy. He got white hot down the stretch last year. They had Josh Jacobs, who I think is the best possible fit for what they want to do on offense, running the football. They have tons of weapons, young weapons. We don't really know how it's going to sort out as like the alpha, but like Romeo Dobbs, Dontavian Wicks, who may not even start. Christian Watson has insane upside. Jaden Reed, right? And then you have Tucker Kraft and Luke Musgrave as well at the tight end position. So the upside is there for the Packers to win the Super Bowl. They're just going to like. Are we going to see that from Jordan Love over the course of a season, or do we see a little more ups and downs? I sort of lean towards the latter. I think both the Eagles have 2 new offensive coordinator and a defensive coordinator. They lose Jason Kelsey. They lose Fletcher Cox. I think they have more questions than most people do. I would lean towards the Packers as a more likely Super Bowl contender, but I think both are really interesting teams in that role.
Well, is Matt Patricia both the offensive and defensive coordinator? Is he neither? No.
Have you not seen where he is?
No, I have no idea.
He's hosting the Bill Belichick coach show on Underdog Fantasy. So it's like, but they didn't say anything about Patricia being involved, and they sent out the first teaser, and it's like Belichick giving this answer about the Jets, and then the camera pans out, and you're like, is that Matt? Is that Mario, Super Mario, or is that Matt Patricia?
Wow.
Like doing the which one? And it's Matt Patricia, like who's
Kevin Smith. It's actually Kevin Smith. It's not Matt Patricia. It's
Belichick's basically
Bob.
dragging. Yes, Bob. That's right. He's dragging Matt. He's not silent on this. He's dragging Patricia along for like his the reclamation project here.
He needs a gig. All right, who's your Super Bowl pick, and then we'll say goodbye.
Bills over Rams.
I think the Rams are a sneaky pick, man. I love that opener in Detroit. That is going to be spectacular. Will Brinson, you are spectacular. At Will Brinson on Twitter, repping Nike Golf
and Instagram.
Yep. And Instagram. We should put an Instagram up there too. We just have a Twitter. Or an X. I still call it Twitter. All right, well, we'll talk to you next. I'll talk to you on Monday. Next week.
Talk to you Monday, man.
Next week comes fast. All right, man. Take care.
All right, see you, buddy.